So if that's the case, then Mike Menachini learned all those things on his own. Fair enough.
Dirty tricks.
Everything. Thanks, Menachini. I've just kind of been taking it all in the last couple of weeks. I've really, when I think about it, I've taken it all in my entire life. And first of all, I'm Mike Goldberg, blessed with this game because of that man, blessed with his family because of that man and everybody here. But I just think about things and talking to Wade last night. If lipstick didn't exist, then there's not some drugstore in Detroit where this dude from Cheeseboro Ponds and Revlon are fighting over where the red lipstick is gonna go on the counter when the dude from Michigan, or that school up north, tells the kid from Cincinnati who knows nothing about hockey, your kid should play hockey. Well, my dad worked for Revlon. Mr. Erickson worked for Cheeseboro Ponds. My parents knew nothing about the game of hockey. Zero. My mom still knows nothing about the game of hockey. Zero. Annoying to listen to her, which is why I coach, by the way, so I don't have to listen to her mistakes. But I digress. So I showed up. I played. Mrs. Erickson, figure skater. I didn't realize that the two didn't go together. So the first time I went to the rink in Southfield, I had figure skates, and they were really difficult to get on over the shin pads. Mr. Erickson didn't tell me that, but I played the game. I played the game, and I love the game. And it was because of that. It's because of lipstick. And then real estate. I mean, crash. I always said, put that thing in the front yard. House for sale. Buy this house or I'll punch you in the face. I mean, the guy was great at real estate. That was the slogan for Mr. Cushman. Well, if my parents don't buy the house that's around the corner from the Cushnans and the Widdens and the Campanas and the Zabins, and you go down the list, our life is not what it is today. My brother's life is not what it is today. And as I get older and as I lose my dad, and you think about the word legacy, and I can't even begin to think about anybody in this world who's left a larger legacy than my coaches, our family. We were sitting at the bar last night. It could be Al Sebo, it could be Chris Sebo, it could be fucking Jimmy Sebo. I'm talking to Chris last night, it's like talking to Al. I'm talking to Mike Check, it's like talking to Billy and John, because we're all from the same family. We're all from the same values. We all have the same DNA. I recently did a podcast, and that's a big deal, but it was talking about like wanting to be your best and trying to achieve all that you could achieve in life, and how do you get that mentality, and where did you learn that? And I said, I learned that from Ian Cushman and John Erickson. I learned that from being a hockey player, because it's all I know. It's all we are. Everybody in here, everybody who has a jersey on, everybody who's been around, it really, at the end of the day, it's all we are. It's who we are. It's our DNA. It's what drives us professionally. It's what drives us as a family. It's our good, it's our bad, it's our different. But at the end of the day, it's what gets us back up. And the guy who got us back up was Ian Cushman. And then the guy who pushed us down was Ian Cushman. He said, John, go pick his ass up so I can push him down again. And they did it over and over. But you know what? We learned from it. And we were just blessed. Toddy wrote something the other day about being in the middle of his dad and Ian, and all his trips, and wishing he would have taken it in more. Man, if I could just roll back the clock right now and just sit and have some of those stories that Mr. Erickson was just talking about. Listen to some of those things and live, but Ian wouldn't do that. He would never make it about him. And ever would he make it about him. I called him the other day, right before the biopsy. Michael, how are you? Oh, Coach, how are you? Just, just want to say, I love you, and care, Why, Michael, everything comes to an end. Who the fuck says that? Ian Cushman. I'm like, Rick, yeah, I know, Michael, I know. Rick, by the way, as we segue, my big brother, my babysitter, who taught us how to fake sleep. Todd and I got good at it. Because Rick was very busy, sorry Pam, with Lynn Perrick,
So he really wasn't babysitting. My dad was pretty clueless. May he rest in peace. Still pretty clueless. My mom knew that the windows were closed so that the kids could stay up. And Rick said, as soon as those lights come in, you go upstairs, you fake sleep. So Rick taught us to fake sleep. Rick taught me a lot of things. Rick taught me when you're playing 2-on-2 football and you're the little guy and he's the big guy and you're playing against the two guys in the middle, Pete Braid and Jimmy O'Hearn, and you don't throw the ball high enough, then you get yelled at. And I realized that it was Ian who yelled at Rick, and then Rick who yelled at me, and then eventually Rick went off somewhere to Rochester, and then Ian yelled directly at me. So that was great. So being the other son, and I've always felt that as a blessing, and I have felt very special that they looked at me like that, and that Rick truly is my big brother, and that I was part of the family, because I did break some windows over at that house. I did play a lot of street hockey. I did take the glass puck right here one time. It hurt. I am very coachable, despite what people say. Because here's the real story. And this is listening to your coach, and everybody in here should take this in, because I was once told, as I dug with all my might, my heart, my muscle, my strength, my core, my toughness, I dug in the corner looking for that puck. And I worked my ass off trying to get that puck out to Weisbarth in the front. He was wide open, ready to bury it. And I lost the battle. And Ian said, you know what? You suck in there. You're never going to get the puck in the corner. Just go in front of the net and stand there and score. You're useless in the corner. And I was like, cool. Barth! And Barth went. And I became the human tripod. Right? But I'm just saying, it wasn't really... It was just me being coachable. Bradley, Ian said, you're no good there. Don't go back there. I said, okay, coach, I won't. It kind of hurt in there. That Bart to it, he's tough. And then Brow's too cool. Brow's just flying down the ice. So there were some definite good times. Oberlin, gosh, going to Oberlin, right? And I do want to take a second to step back and think about Oberlin. And just remember that while we were playing and we were on the ice, the moms and the sisters and the daughters, and especially, and I texted Dawn the other day, and we all talk about hockey and we all define that, but a loving daughter lost her daddy as well. And I don't want anybody to not remember that and not think about the moms and Dawn and her loss. Because we are a family, just not on the ice. We're a family off the ice. We are the family. We're the hockey family, but it's everybody in this room. And I thought a lot about that. I think a lot about Helene every day. I think about a best friend. I have a vision of the reunion 5 years ago of us walking out of the rink or something, and Ian was holding your hand, and you were walking slowly, but just this dude that I never seen before. It was this guy who looked like Coach, who had a heart. And I was like, who is this person? I didn't realize it. But that vision of you guys together is the one that I'll always remember, and it will always be special. And that guy is this dude we were talking about in Atlanta one time. So Fernanda, my fiance, my wife, Fernanda is here. She's sitting next to my brother Todd over there, from Brazil. And now says, dump the puck in, boys, let the puck get her going. I love the girl, she knows her hockey. But she can break down most of our team too, unfortunately. We're in Atlanta with Alex and Rick, and we're telling stories, and Alex is going on talking about this guy, Papa. Oh, Papa, this, Papa, that, Papa, and he's great, and Papa, I talk to him every day, and Papa, and he says, I love you, and Papa, and about 15 minutes into dinner, I go, who the heck is Papa? Who's Papa? My grandpa. Okay, well, I thought your grandpa was Crash. No, you're not Crash and Papa. Okay, Papa and Crash are not the same people right now, Alex. I'm not, work with me here, bro, because, wait, him? And they're the same people? But it just opened all of our hearts to everything that goes on and everything they brought to us. And about the way we coach, because you're right. We coach exactly how you taught us, John. We coach exactly how we learned the game from you guys. And that's all we expect from these kids. And then you yell at them, and was Mr. Erickson telling me to get in the car. I hadn't even gotten on the ice yet. That was his voice to say good morning. And you thought we were getting yelled at? We got yelled at a lot. I got yelled at a lot by Mr. Cushman. Once, his brother loves, it's his favorite story, I think, one of his 100 favorite stories. You get the hell off the ice, Goldberg, get off the ice. Practice, 10 o'clock. Off the ice now, get your ass off the ice. And I got all the way down my jockstrap, and I heard, what the hell are you doing? Get dressed and get your ass back on the ice. And Brow still just sat there the whole time and supported me in laughter. Him and Barry, you know. McMillan probably taking slap shots at the board. Yeah, still laughing. Taking slap shots at the board. We won't talk about the time you did take the slap shot to, you always scared us with your big slap shot, Mr. Erickson and Pee Wee's. That's how you got our attention. You definitely got it the time your stick broke and you fell right on your face. We all remember that one very well. Jane remembers. That was, I wish we could have found more of those sticks for you to use, but we only found the one. I shared a lot of times, obviously I absolutely idolized Rick. I idolized the family. I talked about being defined by hockey, being defined by these men, being defined by their character on and off the ice. And the drills, the clones, the good cop, the bad cop, and just a couple other notes that, you know, that I just kind of wrote down. I mean, to go from Gordie Howe to Bobby Hall and on from there, and all of them to remember Ian Cushman in the same way. You got to remember in those days there were 20-some dudes on 6 teams in the entire world. There were 20 dudes on 6 teams in the entire world. So you're into the bench, whatever coach wanted to call himself. It's still a very unique time. Very unique. All I had to hear was, Michael! And I knew I had to stop whatever I was doing, wherever I was doing it. And as most of you know, my last name is Goldberg, which is somewhat of a Jewish name. I don't know if you guys realize that. My mom's Irish Catholic. My brother and I are still extremely confused. I was taking a draw at River one time, playing those very fine, like Catholic dudes. I was face off, and somebody was saying something, effing something, J, effing, and straight face off, and Brow finally looked at me and goes, talking to you, dumbass. I was like, oh, yeah, they are. Well, that's horrible. And then, years later, Todd's playing in a game with Keith in the summer, and he goes to throw a hit, and the guy ends up, like, tripping him, and Todd goes down, and some kid outside the rink, and Mr. Erickson was standing right next to Mr. Cushman, had a not so kind thing to say about my brother, to my brother, and about my family, about the whole big picture. I'm bringing it in here. And that was the other time, Manakini, I thought I was tough, or I actually was. And I darted over to that dude, and I had him like this, because he just said that ethnic slur, and he was talking about my little brother, right there, that guy. And all I heard from over there was, Michael! And I went, let the guy down and walked away. Okay, hey coach, Michael. We went from there. The reunion was one of, wow, there's so many of the greatest moments in my life were involved with this family and with Rick and with everybody, and all the times, all the stories that are all going to be told over and over again tonight. The reunion was one that I'll take forever, but I will tell you that the one that I will take to my grave is a few years ago, the UFC was here in Cleveland. And I just wanted to take John and Ian down to the weigh-ins or to the show. And I wanted them to see the character and the person that they built and what they helped him achieve and what they showed him to believe in himself and be strong, get jobs, get fired from jobs, get back up, get jobs, go get other jobs, and love what you do. And I remember talking to Keith, and can you drive coaches down? And it was truly the greatest day of my life was walking around in my job, in my environment, with the guys who put me in a position to be that man. Showing my coaches my world after they taught me their world my entire life. And it just kept saying, like, there's Mr. Erickson, he taught me to play hockey, and this is Mr. Cushing, and you might want to get him in the octagon. He'll fight you, he'll fight. And Mr. Cushing just go crash, go, no, and John and I are kind of laughing, going, oh yeah, probably kick your ass. And I remember Mr. Erickson, you're a little bit of a fanboy. Michael, that's Uriah Faber. Yes, it is. Get a picture. And a couple times I introduced him to different fighters, and Mr. Erickson was a little more in tune and crashed in his typical fashion. Two things, and this I'll conclude with because it just summarizes everything that he is and all this will be to me. He said to me, he just stepped back and watched, and he goes, you know what, Mike? He goes, the people you work with like you. And I went, yeah, coach, I think you do. And that's what he said. And they hear that from him. And to think that maybe, just maybe I was doing the right thing in life, professionally and personally. To hear me and just say, and stand back and go, you know what, people you work with like you was the absolute, just the world. I'll remember it forever. I'll also remember about 45 minutes later, we were in the lobby of the hotel getting ready to go back. And Ian goes, who's that one girl fighter from Cleveland that's gonna fight? Which one, coach? The girl, the girl fighter, which one, coach? The one you hugged 3 times! I looked at Keith and I went, holy shit, the dude still does not miss a thing. God love you, Crash. Thank you for making me the man that I am today. Thank you for everything you provided for our family. Thank you for everything that you provided for everybody in here. And you'll always be the leader. It doesn't matter. You'll always be my fucking head coach. I love you.